How can you claim a 6,000-year-old Earth when carbon-14 results are coming back 50,000 years?
Carbon dating does produce ages typically around 50,000 years, say, but when we take into account things like the decay in the Earth's magnetic field, which means that more and more carbon-14 is being produced today than was in the past, and when we take into account the effects of the flood, which would have dramatically changed the ratio of carbon-14 to carbon-12, then we find that those 50,000-year dates actually contract back to around the time of the flood.
I invite each of you to go and finish watching the rest of that video, as it makes some interesting points. However, in my opinion, and to play devil's advocate, it doesn't answer the question at hand. If the Bible claims that the earth is 6,000 years old, why do we have a multitude of tests, scientists, data, rocks, formations, etc. that suggest the Earth is between 4 and 4.4 billion years old? This creator's video directly addresses radiocarbon dating, which in of itself has many flaws, but doesn't directly address many of the other testing methods that have suggested 4 to 4.4 billion years, such as radiometric dating, or zircon crystal dating, or helioseismology. So what's right then? Is the Bible lying? Is science wrong? Are they both wrong? Or are they both right? The prophet Joseph Smith actually has some teachings that clarify the gaps in this situation. First things first, on January 5th, 1841, William Clayton recorded Joseph saying the following: "The world and earth are not synonymous terms. The world is the human family. This earth was organized or formed out of other planets, which were broke up and remodeled and made into the one on which we live. The elements are eternal. That which has a beginning will surely have an end." In another instance, Joseph Smith echoed the same sentiment during the King Follett sermon, in which he said, "You ask the learned doctors why they say the world was made out of nothing, and they will answer, doesn't the Bible say he created the world? And they infer from the word create that it must have been made out of nothing. Now the word create came from the word barau, which does not mean to create out of nothing, it means to organize, the same as man would organize materials and build a ship. Hence, we infer that God had materials to organize the world out of chaos, chaotic matter, which is element, and in which dwells all the glory. Element had an existence from the time he had. The pure principles of element are principles which can never be destroyed. They may be organized and reorganized, but not destroyed. They had no beginning and can have no end. What the prophet Joseph Smith teaches is that when God the Father delegated creation of the earth to the Son, Jesus Christ or Jehovah used existing materials, matter, or elements to do so. Therefore, the components which make up the earth would indeed be billions of years old. This works perfectly in conjunction with science. But as Joseph specified earlier, the earth and the world are different and are not synonymous. The earth, once it was created, became the world, and that new world may very well, if you interpret the Bible literally, be 6,000 years old, made up of elements, materials, and matter that is billions of years old, therefore working in conjunction with what the teachings of the Bible are. So what's the answer? Well, the Bible and science can be correct in this. Religion and science can work together to support and uplift one another and ultimately glorify God in His majesty and power.